Welcome to Thinking Green. I'm Rana, and today I'm joined by Alycia Ziegler. Did I get it right?
You did.
Are you related to the Zieglers in Pennsylvania who make apple cider?
I wish. That would be really great. This is one of my favorite ciders. But no, my tribe of Zieglers is from the New York area. Pretty sure we came down from Quebec. So there's a small group of us.
Yeah, worth a shot. Alycia is the treasurer of OutCT, and we were supposed to be joined by Chevelle as well. She wasn't feeling great, but I think Chevelle has been on the show before, and this is your first time,
yes.
So that's really great. So I guess to start with, I'm going to ask you to just let everyone know how you got involved with OutCT and what your, different hats you wear within the organization.
Sure. My day job is the director of student activities at Three Rivers, and I'm always looking for ways and avenues to get my students connected with not just community resources, but also people. Sometimes in life it's about who you know or a connection you might have made. So during one of our events, we partnered with OutCT to do a Black History Month LGBTQ specialized trivia night, which was super fun. And I connected with some of the board members at that event. And then in the, winter of 2021, so like January, February, I was contacted by a couple of those folks, and they asked me to come join the board because of the work that, they knew that I did for a living, and also some of the things that I'm incredibly passionate about. So besides just being the treasurer for OutCT, I'm also the co-pride chair for this year's Pride. I was the co-chair last year, and I do all of our social media marketing. So I wear a couple of hats for the organization. We are a group of volunteers, so my mother always says, many hands makes for light work. So the more that we can do to uplift the organization, I'm here for it.
And in the about 10 years since the organization was formed, it's really gotten a big profile, high profile within southeastern Connecticut.
Yeah. So back in, 2013, our founder, Constance, did a feasibility study to look at the viability of having a Pride here in New London County. And that's kind of where it grew from. And it grew to really be this kind of incredible organization that's got a lot of different arms and reaches within the community. We've got a really robust education committee that does incredible programming. I know that we're going to talk about some of that in a little bit. We've got some folks from all over southeastern Connecticut that serve on our board, education, folks in finance. So we've got a really great mix of community members, which is fantastic.
And I think, I don't know if it really helps, the growth of the organization, but New London has a long history of a very active LGBT community.
Yes. So I'm a Connecticut transplant. So a lot of my knowledge is things that's passed down. But I know for a long time there was Frank's down in New London that was incredibly popular. and then the Brass Rail, and unfortunately both of those establishments have closed. But I would love, I think, if I had a magic wish list for there to be another spot like that in downtown New London. But yes, the amount of folks in our community that are here is incredible, and they're just always giving and so great with their time, which we love.
So, what can you tell us about the mission or the vision of or the goals of the organization?
Absolutely. So, our whole programs, or all of our programs are centered around, celebrating, uplifting, and educating folks about all different gender identities and sexual orientations. And our hope is that because we come from an area that is so diverse and has such a spectrum of community members, that we kind of look at that as as an umbrella to cover our whole community. We know that folks coming out, and this is a Chevelle quote: "Coming out is a process and a journey, not a moment." There's going to be lots of moments, so we want to make sure that we're doing work that continually embraces our community and their understanding of their own gender identities and sexual orientations.
Just watching over the years too, it seems like that whole focus has gotten much more expanded and open too. It isn't just 2 choices or 3 choices. It's like,
yes, there's
it's
so
a
many.
whole universe of diversity.
Yes. So, it's so a couple of things. I'm going to give a kind of a layered response, if you will. So, really when the community, I think, first came through with Stonewall, it was a lot of like LGB was kind of the terminology, and then it became LGBT, and then LGBTQ, and now a lot of folks are moving towards LGBTQIA plus. Because, we want to make sure that we're as inclusive as we can of as many folks as we can without going into the whole acronym. I'm not somebody that knows the whole acronym, but,
no one can pronounce it.
No, actually, there's one human that I know that can do it, and she impresses me every time she does. But also, the flag. So the flag of Pride was built, with the rainbow for the symbolization. And it was the red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, indigo, and I believe pink. And that has now evolved to be, the red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, with the addition of the black and brown stripe, because we want to make sure that we bring in our black and brown siblings, right, who are identify as members of the queer community. But then that flag has now transitioned to also include the trans triangle, which is pink, blue, and white. And then even further has evolved to include the intersex flag, so that we're really saying like this community is a community of beauty, of color, of diversity, and it's one that we want to fly our flag high and celebrate. So
it's ever evolving.
Yes,
and kind of exciting to think about how even in the 10 years since the organization was formed, there's been a lot more inclusiveness, I think, in general.
Yeah. I think that, that's always the goal, right? We want to make sure that we're hosting not just events that are fun and that are get together, but also events that are educational, because our community is constantly growing. We learn more about, our trans and non-binary siblings. We learn more about our two-spirit siblings. You find that a lot amongst indigenous cultures, a lot about our own selves and, what it's like, because I identify as a proud lesbian. Hi, honey. I love my beautiful wife. Her name's Amy. She's fabulous. But I haven't always identified as a lesbian. I used to identify myself as pan, because I dated folks based on like who they were, not necessarily somebody who identified as female, right? But now, as I'm older, I identify as a lesbian because that I'm married to a woman. I find myself attracted to my wife. I would hope I would find myself attractive by women, but so it's I think it's again an ever evolving process. So we need to make sure that we're a part of that in some way, shape, or form.
Now, I know that OutCT has several annual events, and one is coming up soon, which is one of the reasons I thought to invite you onto the show. And I think the Health and Wellness Symposium, maybe last year was its first year.
Yep.
But it looks like it's on the way to being an annual thing.
Yes. So the LGBTQ plus Health and Wellness Symposium, called Peace of Mind, really was a brainchild of Chevelle Moss-Savage, who is our Vice President and Education Committee Chairperson. She really was passionate and is passionate about mental health and about making sure that the community has access to health resources. So she birthed this idea. And it was really incredible with the different workshops that she wanted to have offered and the vendors that she wanted to have present. And really working closely with her to make this event come to fruition has been really fantastic. And then to have it come back again, and even on a bigger scale. So last year we had a little over 100 members. And this year we're hoping to have over at 150 or a little over 150 participants, which we are well on our way. So I'm very excited about that.
So what was the experience like last year?
So being the first symposium, the experience was, it was a lot of work, because while you think about this event as an event, what we realized quickly into it is it's like a one-day conference, really. So you're navigating not only deciding what workshops you want to offer, but finding folks to fill those spots. Working with community partners to make sure that we've got vendors available to participants, because we want to make sure that, again, we're providing access to the community to resources. It was also incredibly important to Chevelle that this event was free. One of the biggest barriers in general with attending things is finances. Not everybody has the $100 or $200 to spend to go to a one-day conference. So again, making sure that this event is in totality free to the community. It was a lot of behind the scenes and late nights, Chevelle and I putting together swag bags and printing out flyers and stuffing folders, and just really putting our blood, sweat, and tears into making sure that this event was a success. And it was a huge success. We had not only over 100 attendees, we had press come, and everybody who attended really seemed to have such a good time. So it was great.
And we do have a few pictures that we'll kind of go through that maybe you can talk about a little bit from the symposium.
So those two individuals are actually the Student Government Association president and vice president. One of them also happens to work in my office. They both attended the event and are incredibly excited that it's coming around this year. That is Hiram and Katie. That is Crowley. Crowley is one of our board members. He's also our secretary. Crowley did a talk about his journey as a trans man and what that was like for him, and that was a really well received and popular event, popular workshop. That is Amy Hannum. Her and Adam Campos came and provided Reiki and massages for people. So we have them in the wellness room. So folks, because some of these topics can also be really heavy. So we had them available to folks to go and kind of take a timeout and rest. We will also have, besides the wellness room, this year we're adding a calming room. So that's going to have, activities for people to do to de-stress. We have this cool activity called Play-Doh sculptures. We can make little Play-Doh things, Legos, coloring pages. So an opportunity to kind of get away from the crowd and just take a moment, which is super cool. Let's see, what other ones did I send you, Rona?
I don't know. I think there were 5 of them.
That was one of our keynotes. Elijah, he talked about allyship in the community and being an active ally. He was really great. He was our afternoon keynote, so right after lunch, which was nice because folks were able to, sit and really listen and engage with him while they ate their lunches.
That's an interesting subject for me, thinking about what it means to be an ally. And I think it was when Chevelle was on the show last year. The point she made was really made a lot of sense to me. It's like people don't get to call ourselves allies. It's the community can think of us as allies or not, but it's not a self-label. And I do think that I don't know if that was touched on here at all, but to me it seems like I see a lot of people making claims that may or may not be right.
Yes. So Chevelle she always says allyship is a verb, not a noun. And I find myself quoting her a lot. So Chevelle, if you're watching, I'm sorry, I'm just going to probably quote you for the next 35, 40 minutes. But she really has said that, and I think it's incredibly impactful because while, I would like to say, like, I am a cis woman, I don't identify as trans or non-binary, but I would hope that the work that I do, how I show up, in the community would allow or would grant me the ability for that community to say, yes, Alycia is an active ally.
And there was one more picture of Kyle that was up
Kyle.
Briefly. Maybe we can have it again, or maybe you can talk a little bit about.
Yes. So Kyle Murray was also a member of our board for a while. He's just such an incredibly fabulous human being. He presented a workshop with Reverend Carolyn Paterno from All Souls called Whole, Holy, and Loved. It was really about understanding the intersections between spirituality and religion and being a member of the community, because that can sometimes be a real difficult place for people, just with some rhetoric from different religious organizations. So one of the great things I love about Kyle is that he's really made it his mission to make sure that folks know that they can have both. Kyle always helps us plan our interfaith service, which is always one of our ending events at Pride. And it is just so incredibly important that folks know that you can have both things. It's not picking one or the other.
But there are some congregations that just don't work.
Yes,
I think
there are. But we don't put our support behind those. But one of the great things is Reverend Paterno has given us a list of open and affirming churches, and also not just churches, but synagogues that people could go to, that they would be welcome. So, and I mean, we're talking not just Methodist, Lutheran, Judaism, Unitarian, like there's a bunch of them. So if somebody would like the list, they can email us at info@OutCT, and we can definitely pass that along.
And that's generally the case. When you look at the OutCT website, it's really clear that you have a lot of resources available, that some are on the website, but some, I'm sure, people could shoot you an email.
Yes. So actually, one of our board members, Hagen, huge shout out to them. They made it their project to redo and revamp our website. So we actually have a brand new website that we launched at the beginning of 2023. It is so beautiful. It's so easy to navigate and really user-friendly. So you can find a lot of the resources listed there. And if folks have resources, that they want to share with us, like if they provide therapy services to the community, or, testing, or they provide, really anything, we will take it into consideration and try to get it up on our site, because we want our community to be able to find the places and businesses that they can frequent that will, not just support but also affirm them.
So for this year's symposium, So when is it, and how do people find out more and register?
So this year, the symposium is going to be Friday, April 28th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. We're holding it again at Three Rivers Community College. It is free. You can visit OutCT.org. And then if you click on the events tab and scroll down just a scotch, you'll see the symposium link, and you can register right there. We are going to have, breakfast and lunch will be provided to all participants, again, free. We've got some super awesome swag bags. We've got a great sponsor this year, Legislate Health District, the Health Improvement Collaborative, and the Black Health Collective have sponsored us again this year. They sponsored us last year. We've got some great things for folks. Again, trying to be sustainable. We've got water bottles, notebooks, pens, super cool bags. We're going to have lots of information for folks so they can register right on the OutCT website. And it'll actually send them a ticket, which is great. And then they can come to the college day of at 9 a.m. to register and have some great breakfast.
And just one more question about this, and then we'll move on to other events. But can you talk a little bit about the specific physical and mental health issues that members of the community confront, that they need to, that they find this kind of conference helpful?
Yeah, so again, looking at the spiritual health. So we're going to be offering, the spiritual health workshop again about folks understanding that intersection. We have another workshop that is going to be offered by Nicole Mayweather Banks, talking about Black and Brown trans homelessness and why that's important. We've got Rashida Rattray coming down from CT Fair Housing to talk to folks about understanding their housing rights. We also have a workshop about engaging our youth, right? Because while this is such a great organization, we're not getting any younger, right? And our future is our youth. So building youth programs that are robust and sustainable so that it can sustain organizations like OutCT into the next coming decades. We're going to have somebody from Quality Counseling talking about mental health and accessing mental health resources. Because again, like, the health part of this is the part that is like where folks struggle. We have a lot of trauma that surrounds our community when it comes to health and seeking services. We've got great vendors like Bacchus. They offer, at Hartford Healthcare offers a gender health center, so they're going to be there offering resources and support. We're going to have Alliance for Living there offering STI testing. Legislate Health District is going to be there offering Narcan training. So it's really like a holistic look at health and accessing health. When it comes to getting doctors or for anything, oftentimes that can be a really cumbersome experience for just a general person, let alone somebody who might have other things that come along with them and their lived experience. So, being able to have these workshops and have these community partners that are available to provide these services and these connections for our community is so critical. We also are going to have a panel discussion about allyship and why that's important, and how can you show up for us. So not just as, me as a queer woman, Chevelle as a Black woman, one of my colleagues as an Indigenous, member of the community. Allyship looks different to everybody. It's not a one-size-fits-all model. So, we really are trying to bring bring those pieces in. Also, we've got some great keynote speakers this year. We've got an individual, Allah, coming from the New Haven Pride Center, who's going to talk about liberation and Andre Lord's work and how that ties into our community. Chris Raitt, who's a local Southeastern Connecticut individual who is going to be talking about restorative justice in the community, right? So, like, just some really great workshops and keynotes and panels. Like, it's going to be an action-packed day, and I really think people don't want to miss it.
That sounds great. And by the way, people, this is a live show. If anyone would like to call in, if you have questions or comments, you're welcome to. I know that in these days of streaming and everything, people often end up watching it after the fact on YouTube, but it is going out over the airwaves live. Now, when Chevelle, sort of, introduced you and me through a Facebook message, she mentioned that you mentioned as well that you were co-chair of New London Pride Fest.
Yes.
So you did that last year. You're doing it this year. Tell us about it.
So we're in the beginning planning stages. Our first meeting is going to be Thursday, April 20th at 6 o'clock. So if anybody would like to participate, again, you should be able to find that link on our website. It'll be up in the next day or two. But yes, so last year, Pride was a blast. My co-chair was Xavier Day. He works down at Alliance for Living. He and I did a lot of planning. We had, I think it was 8 or 9 events in 7 days. We went wild. This year, we're scaling back a little bit because it's our 10 year. So we really want to focus on making Pride kind of the focal point. We actually just had a meeting yesterday, which I'm very excited about because I can actually give you some more information. So this year's Pride is going to be, the one at the beach is going to be Saturday, August 12th. Typically, folks who have come to Pride know it's later in the month, but due to the nature of our board evolving and who's on it, a lot of us work in education or have folks who are tiny humans who are going back to school. So the end of August was brutal for a lot of us. So we moved it to the beginning of the month to give us some more space and breathing room between that and the beginning of the academic year for a lot of us. So this year we have 2 themes that we're going between. So one is 10 years of Pride, Love Makes a Family, and the other is 10 years of Pride, Stand Up, Stand Out, and Stand Proud. So if folks have opinions or thoughts about those themes, please feel free to come to our meeting on the 20th. That's all up for discussion. We're looking to not just make Pride a celebration, but also have those educational components. A lot of the rhetoric that's currently surrounding members of our community is incredibly disgusting and downright depressing and sad. So we're
maybe
really
scary at times as
absolutely
well.
Scary. It is not. It is incredibly unsafe to be a member of our community in today's day and age, especially if you identify as trans or non-binary, which is just such a sad place to be, being that we live in 2023. I think about, how would Marsha P. Johnson feel, or Sylvia Rivera feel if they lived in the world as we see it today. So we want there to be, celebrations of our community, uplifting not just our community, but specifically our trans siblings and non-binary siblings. We think that that's really important, that those folks see that they are loved and affirmed, and that we surround and affirm them because, they are a part of our community, and they are incredibly beautiful and loved for exactly as they are. We also, have the education committee component, right? Ms. Chevelle is going to be doing kind of a live Who's in the Neighborhood at Pride to show folks, members of our community, who's available to them. People show up to Pride, our vendors. We want folks to know that those are businesses that they can frequent or, places that they can work because they're places that are safe, and that not just, again, celebrate them, but also affirm who they are. So, we're really excited about Pride. We're going to end it with our BIPOC cookout. It's one of, I think, my new favorite events. We go to Washington, I believe it's Washington Park in Groton. We rent a pavilion and we cook lots of food. So if you're a member of our community and you identify as BIPOC, so it's Black, Indigenous, people of color, please come to the cookout. It's going to be Sunday the 13th. We want to see you there. We want to celebrate you and have some good food. Who doesn't love a good cookout? We're also going to kick off Pride with karaoke on the 9th, which is Wednesday. So, we really have some great ideas.
So even scaled back, you have, several days of events. I noticed.
I can't help it. The event planning is like in my blood. It's just who I am as a person. I try not to, but I can't help myself.
Well, and we do have a few pictures that you sent over from Pride from last year. So if we can show them and talk about them a little bit.
Absolutely. Oh, so those are some of the folks who attended Pride. Just being able to display that and be in a place where they can hold hands, incredible. I love our community and the way that they show up. So last year we had trans activist Carmen Carrera as our headliner. The individual that they're dancing with said it was their dream to have Carmen do a TikTok dance with them. So Carmen, right before she went and performed on the main stage, did a TikTok with one of our Pride goers, which was super cool. And Carmen was just great. I mean, she was just so engaging with all of our guests, both the tiny humans up to our older patrons. Just wonderful. Loved working with her. Again, that individual in the blue, if I'm not mistaken, this was one of their first Prides. And they just had such a great time being there with their partner, which I loved. That's Crowley, again, living his best life. That was during our pub crawl. He was helping me check in folks with his rainbow gnome, which I was super thankful for him for. And that was actually, I think, at the social. That's where we had started the pub crawl. Like. Yeah. So that was a great event.
Yeah. So, well, we in the Green Party table at Pride pretty much every summer, and it's just really a lot of fun.
Yes. Last year, in talking with Dave, the owner of Ocean Beach, they were this close to having to open their dirt lot, which he said they had never had to do for Pride. So we're hoping this year Dave's gonna have to open the dirt parking lot.
Wow.
Yes, we want to pack the place.
Well, the weather was awesome last year, I have to tell you. So we can hope it is this year as well. In fact, most years it is really good.
Yes. We don't have a rain date, so we're going all in August 12th. You'll find me there with an umbrella if it's raining.
So it's a little bit of a segue. One thing that I've noticed sitting under my little tent with my table at Pride is how many young people seem like they are there and really thrilled about it, having a place to express themselves. So one thing that OutCT has had for many years is youth programming, and maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
What's available for teens.
Yeah. So our youth group is run the third Sunday of every month from 1 to 4 at the Pilot House at Ocean Beach. So it's not the big ballroom, but it's the room around the backside. So it's for youth 12 to 18. We've got some great facilitators, Gabby, Alex, and Colleen, who do just great work with our youth. And we're looking to kind of grow the youth program. We know that, again, the youth are our future, right? So we want to make sure that we're providing a space for them to hang out, to create bonds with each other, because oftentimes, depending on the community that people are coming from, they might not have those abilities to make those connections at school. There's not every middle school or high school offers a GSA. Some folks might not feel safe, even if their school does offer that, to participate. So, again, we offer that space for the youth to be able to engage with each other. They play games, they make crafts, they do education workshops. So, I mean, yes, it's, it is a lot of fun and games, but there also is always a little bit of that education component. And we feed them. So there's always food available. Listen, the one thing I've learned about event planning, if there is food, they will come.
That is a universal tenet,
Yes.
by the way. I worked for Head Start, and we never had a meeting or any kind of parent or family activity without having a lot of food.
Yep. So the youth program is great, and so if you have a youth and you're watching this, or you are a youth and you're watching this, and you're between the ages of 12 and 18, please consider participating.
So how do they get in touch with you? Is there you have to sign up ahead of time? Do you can they just send an email, or is there a registration on the site? Or
so they can send an email to youth, so YOUTH at OutCT.org. We have our facilitators and a couple board members who monitor that email, so that way folks know that they're looking to participate and are coming. Because we normally want to make sure that we have enough food for everyone. So we have an influx of 20 kids that want to come. I want to make sure I order enough pizza, because as a treasurer, that's my job. So again, they can send an email. They can connect with us via Facebook Messenger, through OutCT's Facebook page. We also do have a youth Instagram account that you can look up. It's youth at OutCT. I think it's at youth OutCT. But the profile picture is our youth logo, so they can connect with us in a myriad of ways.
Now, are you finding that there's a growing number of youth that want or need that level of support? Or
I don't know if it's the level of support that they need, but I think that just the sense of community is what's important. Because, even myself, 20 years removed from high school, right? A little over 20 years, but that's okay.
It's okay, my 55th reunion, I think, is coming up. I don't think I'm going to it, but
I've never
55,
been to one.
That's a high number. Anyway.
Yeah, I've never been to one. But even as, as a youth myself 20 years ago, I can't remember my high school having a GSA, let alone if we did, I know I wouldn't have felt safe enough to go, given my, my home situation. So I think it's that sense of community for the youth, and to find each other and make those connections. Because I've had conversations, I had a conversation with one of my medical providers who has a trans child. Their school wasn't a place that was safe for them to engage with other queer youth because they were being bullied because they were trans. So I was able to give her the information to bring her child to the youth group, to give that human an opportunity. Suicide rates amongst LGBTQ youth, or suicidal thoughts, are incredibly high. And oftentimes it's because those kids don't feel like they have a place to go, or they have a place that is available to them, or a sense of community, or an adult that cares about them. So if we can provide a space that does that for those youth, I mean, that's really what we're doing. We're providing networking, we're providing safety, we're providing community. And that's the goal of the youth group.
Now, if you go to your, well, no, I won't go there yet. So there were a couple of events and sort of notable days in the very recent past that, we can't publicize the event, but, the Transgender Day of Visibility was just last week.
Yes.
And do you want to talk? And I know OutCT also had your annual meeting. So even though we're not publicizing it for this year's participation, what kind of program do you have for the Transgender Day of Visibility?
So one of the really great things is that one of our board members, Crowley, really has kind of ingrained in me that oftentimes when we have events surrounding the trans community, it's days of mourning or remembering, and we need to celebrate. So what Crowley did was he hosted a Zoom meeting for folks to come and talk about ways that we can better support and celebrate the trans community, right? while there is the day of visibility, it should be visibility 365, right? We talk about Black History Month, that should be Black History 365. And that's really what we want to do, is expand our programming so that it's not just doing something on the Trans Day of Visibility, but also all year long. So at our annual meeting, Nicole Mayweather Banks was our keynote speaker, and Nicole specializes in providing therapy for trans and non-binary folks. And she gave OutCT the charge to go forth and, provide spaces and events and programs that support and uplift and affirm our trans community. And that's really what we're trying to do. Not just because Nicole gave us that charge that was incredibly important, but in addition to that charge, because of our board members who are members of that community, who that's, the things that they're looking for. Because members of our community deserve that. Because there's so much rhetoric that is downright hurtful and harmful, to combat those hateful words with words of affirmation and love. So the annual meeting was great. We had it at Ocean Beach. It talks about all of the wonderful things that we did last year. We're really hoping to grow those things that we do this year. The education committee also does Everyone Deserves Pride in June, where we mourn the loss and honor all Black and brown, trans and non-binary folks who have lost their lives at the hand of violence from the previous years. Everyone Deserves Pride. And it's important to Chevelle that event takes place on June 28th, because that's the day that the Stonewall riots took place. So the one thing I really do love and appreciate and value about Chevelle is everything that she does from an educational standpoint with the education committee is very purposeful. Everything is done with intention, and it's just really incredible to work with her. That event always just gets me in my feels for so many reasons. But we also do, monthly out and abouts, which are just, events that people can come to celebrate community. Those events are normally the last Wednesday of the month. They used to be at restaurants and bars, but one of the things, again, that we've had conversations about is alcohol sometimes can be a problem for a lot of folks, especially, again, members of our community. So hosting events and spaces where that's not the center of the event. Kyle, one of our former board members, he planned this cool corn maze day that we all went to, and it was a great out and about. We had one where we went to an art museum. We had one where we went and did painting. So opportunities for the community connect, but in ways that aren't around alcohol.
I think that's true of a lot of different communities. That the assumption used to be, meet at the bar, and a lot of people are excluded when you're meeting at the bar, whatever group you're in. Yes.
I mean, even me myself, do I enjoy the occasional drink? Absolutely. But Dr. Aurora, it's the occasional drink, because with my heart condition, and I can't partake in that, not even just accounting whatever else might be going on. So really just kind of moving away from that, but also providing some family-friendly options. Back in June, one of our board members, Hagen, did an out and about with the Denison Nature Pequot Center, where they did a walk and then, looked at some of the animals. So it was a great way to get out and be active and be with the community, but again, also had a little bit of an education piece. Not about the community, but, we love a good educational opportunity.
No, well, you're have to be very inclusive about everything, and everyone likes a walk out in nature, right?
I mean, not this girl. Oh. I'm not very outdoorsy, but I'll be there when you get back with snacks. How does that sound?
That sounds good.
Okay.
We have one more slide that I just made to show what resources are on the website. I know their website, I did notice it had been revamped, and it was very, it was really attractive. There used to be really long lists
Yes.
of resources, but there still is. If a person goes, and if the slide, I don't know if we can find it or not, but it's, I think if you just go to the OutCT website and click on resources,
Yep.
they're classified as resources, social resources, youth resources. Oh, there it is.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Hagen really, I can't say enough. Like, Hagen did such an incredible job with this website. The fact that we're able to, put all these resources up. And again, if you have resources that fit under any of these categories, or even, something that could create a new category, we are all about that. We want folks to have access to resources. But yeah, Hagen did such a great job with this website. We praise them every chance we get because it's just so nice. But yeah, so youth, addiction to health services, social services, legal resources, faith resources, and parenting resources are what we're offering. But again, you have anything else, feel free to email info@outct.org.
And so it is a really good resource, even if someone doesn't want to get in touch with you in person or whatever. You can really find a lot of information there. And to me, it hadn't actually occurred to me before I started doing these shows that, like, legal, if you need legal help, whatever, it's going to make a difference if there's some provider who is inclusive, who isn't going to make your, whatever task you have to do more challenging than it needs to be.
Yes. And the other great thing about the website is that if you're circling or perusing the website and you see something or don't see something, there is a contact us feature. You don't even have to send an email to info@outct. You can put in an inquiry right on the website, and that comes to our info inbox. So again, just, less clicks, because people don't want to click more than 2 or 3 spots deep, I've learned.
So if someone wants to, support your group, donate or volunteer, or how do they go about it?
Awesome. So we do have a donation button again on the website you can make a donation. You can send a check to our office. We are located at 300 State Street in New London, Suite 402. We now have a home that hopefully we will be able to share with the greater community soon. Folks can also email, again, info@outct to be connected with our volunteer person. So we're going to be looking for lots of volunteers, especially around Pride season. Many hands makes for light work, as Mom would always say. So, again, emailing us at info@outct.org would be probably one of the best because that gets monitored by a few folks.
Wow. And the one other thing I wanted to mention, but we only have 3 minutes, so it's going to be a very quick mention.
Yes.
I did talk to Constance about a month ago. I bumped into her, and the film that she had worked on the LGBT community in New London specifically, I guess is going to be around again. So everyone kind of keep your eyes open. She might come on the show when it's ready to be publicized, but she wasn't ready this month. But I did go to the event at the Guard when the first cut was shown, and it was really interesting. I mean, who would have known the electric slide originated in New London, Connecticut?
The things that Constance is able to do really do surprise. I shouldn't say they surprise me, but they really do baffle me because she just makes things happen, and she's an incredible human being. So I'm grateful to have her as OutCT's founder, but also to have met her. So I'm hoping if that comes back around that she has Chevelle help with the panel again, because I heard that they did a great job.
It was really good. The film was great and the panel was great. It really was an enjoyable evening. So thank you, Alycia, for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's
I
always.
was nervous. So I'm like, 50 minutes, 55 minutes, that's so much time. But
I was nervous
it
for the first
flew.
5 years we did this, but I don't know. I mean, the viewing public is not that fussy about the little details, and you know, it's good information. So I'm really gratified that you came on.
Thank you for having me.
And next week, we won't have a live show, but we will have a new show. A few people from Artreach will be on the show. Emma Paul-Zure and Becca Atkins, and maybe someone else. I'm not quite sure, but I'm pretty sure about Emma and Becca. So we will see you next week and find out more about OutCT, you know, now and the symposium and Pride and all through the year. So thank you and good night, and we'll see you all next week.
When the rain don't fall, that's when you know you're gonna go dry. When the rain don't fall.